We are live. Hello, hello, hello. So I wanted to talk about, I'm going to cover my little number thingy on the side so my ego doesn't jump up and down like a fairy. There we go. So I wanted to talk about the weird in the world and how to handle it, because it is so bizarre at the moment. There is so much stuff going around about what's happening in America and what's happening here and what's happening with movie stars and what the truth is. And I don't know if it's my cynical self, but I kind of sit in this perception of I have no idea what the truth is. I don't know. My reality is that I'm a human being. I have this physical body and I breathe air and eat food. That's my reality. Everything else is a story. All the stuff about being an energy, being a spirit, it is all a story. It's a belief that we get to choose whether we believe or not. And all this information going around at the moment about, I don't want to say too much because I don't want my videos flagged, but the weird stuff. If you know about the weird stuff, then you know about the weird stuff. If you don't know about the weird stuff, then type in the comments, I don't know about the weird stuff. I have no idea what you mean by the weird stuff. Or being food. We are apparently food. And we have been raised for food. So if you don't know any of that, then put in the comments. If you want to know, I can send you in the direction of where to have a look and who to look at. But there's just lots of weird stuff. And people are believing a lot of unusual stuff that they are seeing as, they're seeing as truth, and they're seeing a perspective and they're taking it as truth. And I don't really know where I sit with all of that, because it's really hard. It is really hard to know what the truth is. I mean, honestly, for every video I've ever watched of somebody saying this is the truth, this is the way it is, there's always someone that can counteract that and contradict that and say, well, actually, no, this is the truth and this is the way it is. So how do you get by in the world when there is no actual one truth? There is no actual real one version or one perspective. And for me, I find that if I spend too much time going down the rabbit hole of all of these different beliefs and all of these different stories, it starts to create a narrative in my brain that I cannot regulate. I cannot function with it. I cannot switch it off once it's turned on. Or I can. Obviously, I can. I won't say I cannot. It's harder for me to switch off when I've gone down the rabbit hole. It's harder for me to regulate my emotions if I'm looking at lots of things that are really, in reality, if they were true, really scary. So for me, the way I am regulating myself with all the crazy that's going on right now is to bring myself, I don't know why I yawn when I do these shows at the moment, is to bring myself into the now reality with what I've been sharing, which is the in this moment right now I am. If I continue on with the in this moment right now, I am sitting on a ball. Yes, I am. In this moment right now, I am bouncing on my ball. Yes, I am. In this moment right now, I can see one of my cats eating dinner. Yes, I can. In this moment right now, I can see out of the corner of my eye, there is a cat who is just right there. Yes, I can. And by bringing myself into this moment and telling the truth about what I see in this moment. And that for me, it wasn't just about bringing myself into this moment, because I know lots of different people do work around get yourself into the moment, get yourself into the moment, get yourself into the moment. For me, that's not what this is. This is about me getting myself into this moment through truth, through honesty, because I can breathe a couple of times and that will bring me into the moment. But that doesn't really, it does bring me in the moment, but it doesn't bring me into the moment, into a moment that where I feel better, because it brings me into a moment where I'm still feeling the feelings that I was feeling. I'm just in this moment feeling the feelings that I'm feeling. And they're not necessarily nice because they've just come from me going down a rabbit hole that I didn't enjoy, or me going into the past, or me having a flashback, or me thinking about the future. And when I go down the path of in this moment right now, I am, and I state what I am in that moment, and I am truthful and I am honest and it is clear, then for me, what that does is it's creating this relationship of honesty. I'm not lying to myself. I'm not sitting here saying, in this moment right now, I am really happy. I'm not. In this moment right now, I feel completely abundant. I don't. And even if I do a few breaths and I say, I am happy, I am abundant, I am filled with love, I am amazing, I am, all of these I am statements that we like to do sometimes when you do affirmations based on the law of attraction stuff. I find that if I do any of those, then I'm lying to myself. And if I'm lying to myself, then that creates this story in my head where what I tell myself I can't trust. And then I can't trust myself. I cannot trust other people. So I feel that in this moment right now, I am, and being honest and being truthful and sharing that part of who I am, then that is teaching me. Is it teaching me? It's kind of teaching, and I'm learning, and it's creating the pathways of honesty that I've not had before. I've not had those honesty pathways before. So it is creating these beautiful, honest pathways, because as I do it more and more and more and more, the feelings that I'm having that came up from the past, so I might have a flashback, I might have an emotional response. It could be to something, it could be to nothing. The whole point to CPTSD flashbacks is that they can come from nothing. There does not have to be a trigger. They can simply appear. And if I'm in the middle of a flashback that has come from nothing, then if I take that some time to say, in this moment right now, I am, it can really dissipate that flashback. Then what that does is to me, this is my belief system again. We all get to have our own belief systems in this illusionary world that we are playing this game in. In my belief system, I am creating a trust relationship with myself. I am letting myself know that when I'm in pain, I'm going to do something about it. I am hearing, I am listening, I am validating, I am paying attention. Whereas before, I wasn't really doing any of those things. I and when I mean before, not before when I was doing this work many, many years ago. I mean before, when I stopped after Mum died and I switched everything off. Or when Mum got sick and I switched everything off. And when I went down that dishonest rabbit hole, when I went down the lie of myself, and I stopped being honest with myself and I stopped being truthful, when that happened, I lost a relationship with myself that I now feel like I need to rebuild. And honestly, if I follow the rabbit hole and I follow all of these videos, and if I were to believe in especially what I saw today, if I was to believe what I saw today, then I would live in this world of going, what's the fucking point? We're all food anyway. Why bother doing anything? Why bother focusing on love? Why bother focusing on feeling better if our end goal is food? So for me, I'm going, you know what, I want to go down this path of life. I want to believe that I am not necessarily here for a purpose, because then that puts too much pressure on me. It puts too much, I'm meant to be here for some grand purpose where I save a million lives of people and I share all my stuff and I get millions of followers, and then all of a sudden this purpose becomes this massive, massive, unachievable experience for me. So I'm trying to simplify things and go, I am simply here in this physical human body to experience life, whatever that is. And in some way, I get to choose how I feel when I'm experiencing that life. I'm not necessarily saying I get to choose the life that I have, and I'm not necessarily saying I get to control where I go. I get to control whether I have money, whether I don't have money, whether I have relationships, whether I don't have relationships, whether I have friends, whether I don't have friends. I am more sitting in this perspective of I get to choose how I feel when I'm living this life. So if something happens to my daughter, even though there's always that instant reaction, I get to choose whether I stay in that instant reaction. I get to choose how long I stay in that instant reaction. And sometimes that choice is harder to make. I know, obviously, when Mum got sick, I knew, on some level, I knew I got to choose how I felt, but the feelings were, they were bigger than what I could handle at the time. I didn't feel like I had the mental ability to regulate any of those feelings or to deal with them. And so I just left them there and lived with them every day. And none of that was helpful or useful. And now I kind of feel like, now I feel more, and that could be because Mum's gone, Dad's gone, my family's gone, and nothing really bad is happening. So I feel like life is easier when nothing bad is happening, when nothing tragic has happened, when no one has died this week or this year, when I haven't lost a job, or I'm not homeless, or I'm not any of the things that I've been in the past. Getting a divorce, all the good stuff. Life is much easier to find this space of good feeling when nothing really bad is happening. And I guess I don't know if I would sit in this same belief if something bad had happened. Because I really acutely understand that it's easy to say I get to choose how I feel, because I do right now. I'm not being controlled by any intense, deep, horrible, hurtful, soul-destroying emotion, because my reality is falling apart around me. I'm not having that experience. So it's easy for me to go, yep, I get to control how I feel. But when pushed and when really triggered by something, that's a totally different experience. It is much harder. If somebody I cared about died, I don't think I would be sitting here going, I get to choose how I experience this. I would probably be sitting here going, this fucking sucks ass. And I'm going to sit in the fucking sucks ass until it doesn't suck ass anymore. And then I'll go back to choosing how I feel. And that's kind of, to me, where I get really confused about just everything that is shared, because I look at the people sharing things, and yeah, of course, we've all had tragic stories, but they're all tragic stories in the past. They're not necessarily going through something right now and then sitting there going, they're not sitting there and saying, my mum died yesterday and I am choosing to feel good about it. I am choosing to feel good in this moment. I'm choosing to feel good about her death. I'm choosing to feel good about who she is, and then consistently being able to hold that space. I haven't seen anyone do that, and I'm not entirely sure anybody has the emotional power to do that, even though we apparently have the choices to feel however we want to feel. I really, after all my experiences, kind of sit here and think, well, I have the choice to choose how I feel when nothing around me is causing me massive amounts of trauma. And so if I'm in a space where nothing's happening and yet I feel bad, I get to choose whether I feel bad in this moment, or I get to choose whether I feel good in this moment, because there's nothing around me that is actually causing me to feel bad other than me. That's a choice. I get to choose that. But if someone's standing in front of me screaming at horrible things at me, it's going to be a lot harder for me to stand there and go, in this moment right now, I get to choose whether I feel bad about what you're saying, whether I feel good about what you're saying. Or if someone's, I don't know, physically abusing me, or something's happened that's altered my physical state, it's going to be a lot harder to say, in this moment right now, I choose to feel good about myself. So I think it's all kind of relative, and I am not someone now, I can't say I'm not someone now, because it does every now and then slip out of my mouth, but I feel like that choice is relative to the moment that you're in. And the people standing up saying, you get to choose how you feel and you get to choose how you respond, when I listen to their stories, they're not necessarily in trauma. They haven't been through trauma within the last 5 years of any kind that they've shared about. And their life is actually pretty good. They have lots of money. They have a good career. Usually they have good partners. They may or may not have a loving family. They may or may not have kids. Their lives are pretty good. And I'd be interested to see what kind of mindset and thought process they have if their life was shit. And if they didn't have all the money that they have, and they didn't have the partner that they had, and they were living out on the street, and they were finding it hard to get food, would they still have that same perception? And I know that a lot of people's fallback is, well, Martin Luther King had that perception, even though he was in most people's perception of hell. But I don't know. These are all these questions I have that I would love to ask coaches, some of these really high-end coaches, but none of them will get on a call with me to record so I can ask these questions. And I think I shared the other day, Peter Crane is probably one of my favorite right now. Peter Crane and Aubrey Marcus are probably two of my favorite people that I watch right now. But the conversations they have are so advanced. They're so much more advanced than the normal human being that has normal everyday issues, because they both run multi-million-dollar companies. They don't have normal everyday issues. They're not even fucking parents. Neither of them have kids. So it's kind of, while I love what they share, it's not all relative to my life. Some of it is, Aubrey more so than Peter. But yeah, it's not necessarily relative. And I would love to have a conversation with some of these high-end coaches and give them actual real scenario issues and go, well, how is someone supposed to handle this? How is someone supposed to manage this experience? How are they supposed to manage this experience? And actually have some real-time conversations with these people, because I have real-time experiences like a normal human being, not some amazing high-end coach. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't really know why I got on tonight. I just felt like a ramble. And I'm really just doing this because it helps get the noise from inside of my head out of my head. And because there is a lot of noise and there are a lot of questions, and it's a bugger that everything's so censored at the moment, because it means that I can't actually really get into asking questions and sharing, and I also, there's an element of me that just doesn't feel safe to do that because of what's happening in the world at the moment. I don't feel safe asking questions. So instead I either have to speak in some weird, I don't know, weird way of trying to say what I want to say but not saying what I want to say. And hopefully that will change if everything goes apparently to plan. By April this year, it'll all be done. But here's the funny story about that. This is where I sit and I go, oh my God, how, I don't know. This is where I think I don't know what to believe, because last year when I first started hearing about all this stuff, all this weird stuff, the whole logic was it would be done by Easter. We would all be done by Easter and everything would be fine. And we weren't all done by Easter and everything wasn't fine. And there was meant to be blackouts and darkness, and none of it ever happened. And maybe they got it wrong. Maybe it was April this year, not April last year. I don't know. But it's all, yeah. Sometimes I think that life in the mainstream world is a lot easier when you don't think for yourself and you don't have a brain and you're not awake and you just go about your day like nothing's wrong. You don't know anything's wrong, because in that space you just get to live. Like my mum got to live. She traveled the world more than once. She used to do some amazing things with some amazing people, and she just lived her life, and then she got sick and then she died, and getting sick was just part of it. It was just a normal part of it. It wasn't something that she wanted to happen, and it wasn't something that she was happy about having, but she made peace with it. She didn't know any different. It just was what it was. And she didn't question it. And well, I don't think she did question it, but not to the extent of what I would. She didn't go down any rabbit holes. It just was what it was. She did what she was told. She followed the doctor's orders, and a lot of those orders, I think, were part of the reason why she died so the way she did. Yeah, I don't know. It would be nice to have the freedom to be able to ask questions without feeling like I'm going to be censored to shit, because I should be safe enough to ask questions. And then that, of course, moves me over to, well, what is the point of being here? What's the point of being human? What's the point of being in this physical body? If we all made the choice to be here, and we've all made the choice to have these experiences, why did we choose to have this experience? Why did we choose to live in a world that is so highly regulated and so heavily censored now that you cannot talk about a whole realm of stuff because there's fear there now that wasn't there before? Yeah, I don't know. It just confuses me and annoys me and pisses me off, and I do know there are other platforms, but that's not the point. It's even just sharing perspectives or asking questions openly can still get you up the shit, whether it's a different platform or this platform. Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion. I have no idea. Anyway, I feel like I'm done. I am very thankful if you watch this. Feel free to comment. Let me know that you've seen it or like it or don't like it. Yeah, that's enough of my rambling today. I might be on tomorrow or the day after for another rambling. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.